Maya Jenkins wiped down the last table in her section and glanced at the clock on the wall. It was already 8 in the evening, and her feet were killing her. She had been standing since noon, running back and forth between tables, carrying heavy trays and forcing smiles at customers who barely looked at her. This was her second job of the day. She had worked the morning shift at a coffee shop across town, and after this she still had to go home and check on her younger brother. The Meridian Club was not like the other places Maya had worked. It was fancy with crystal chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, thick red carpets on the floor, and tables covered in white cloth. The people who came here wore expensive suits and dresses that probably cost more than Maya made in 3 months. They talked about business deals, vacations in Europe, and things Maya could only dream about. She was invisible to most of them, just another waitress bringing food and drinks. Maya had been working at the Meridian Club for 3 months now. She needed every dollar she could get. Her younger brother David was sick, very sick. The doctors said he needed a special treatment that their insurance would not cover. The medicine alone cost thousands of dollars every month. Since their mother died last year, Maya was all David had. She was only 28, but she felt much older. The weight of taking care of David, paying rent, buying food, and keeping the lights on made her shoulders hurt almost as much as her feet. Tonight was a Friday, which meant the restaurant would be busy. Friday nights brought in the richest customers, the ones who tipped well if you were lucky. Maya straightened her black uniform and checked her reflection in the glass door leading to the kitchen. She looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes that makeup could not hide anymore, but she put on her best smile and walked back out to the dining room. That was when she saw him walk in. Marcus Rothwell was hard to miss. He was tall, probably in his mid-30s, with perfectly styled dark hair and a suit that looked like it was made just for him. He walked like he owned the place, and in a way he did. Marcus was a billionaire. He had started a tech company when he was young and sold it for an amount of money that Maya could not even imagine. Now he invested in other companies and spent his time going to fancy parties and expensive restaurants. Maya had seen Marcus before. He came to the Meridian Club about once a month, always with a group of friends who laughed too loud and drank too much. The staff did not like waiting on his table. Marcus had a mean streak. He liked to make jokes at other people's expense, especially the people who worked for him or served him. Last month he had made a waiter cry by mocking his accent in front of everyone. The manager had done nothing because Marcus spent so much money at the restaurant. Tonight Marcus came in with 6 other people. There were 3 men in expensive suits and 3 women in designer dresses and high heels. They were already laughing about something as the hostess led them to the best table in the house, right in the center of the dining room where everyone could see them. Maya felt her stomach tighten. Please do not let them be in my section, she thought. But of course they were. Maya took a deep breath and walked over to the table with menus in her hand. She kept her smile fixed on her face and her voice polite. Good evening, welcome to the Meridian Club. My name is Maya, and I will be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you off with something to drink? Marcus barely looked at her as he waved his hand. Bring us 2 bottles of your most expensive champagne, and make it fast. We are celebrating. His friends laughed like he had said something funny. Maya nodded and turned to walk away, but Marcus called out to her. Wait a second. Maya stopped and turned back around. Marcus was looking at her now, really looking at her, and there was something in his eyes that made her nervous. It was the look of someone who had just thought of something entertaining. Come here, Marcus said, gesturing for her to come closer to the table. Maya walked back slowly. She could feel the eyes of the other diners on them now. Marcus reached out and grabbed her hand before she could pull away. His grip was firm, not painful but controlling. He turned her hand over and looked at her fingers. Look at this, Marcus said loudly, holding up Maya's hand for his friends to see. These are not normal waitress hands. His friends leaned in to look. Maya felt her face get hot with embarrassment. She tried to pull her hand back, but Marcus held on. See these calluses on the fingertips? Marcus continued, running his thumb over the hard spots on Maya's fingers. These are musician hands. What do you play, sweetheart? Guitar, piano? Maya finally managed to pull her hand away. Her heart was pounding now, and she felt angry and humiliated at the same time. I used to play piano, she said quietly, trying to keep her voice steady. But I need to get your drinks now. Used to? Marcus said, raising his eyebrows. That is sad. Why did you stop? Not good enough? His friends laughed again. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she blinked them back. She would not cry in front of these people. "Excuse me," Maya said firmly. "I need to work." She turned to walk away, but Marcus stood up from his chair. He was making a scene now, and he knew it. Other diners were watching, and Marcus loved having an audience. "Wait, Marcus said, his voice carrying across the room. "I have an idea. You see that piano over there?" He pointed to the corner of the dining room where a beautiful black grand piano sat. It was an expensive instrument, but it was just for decoration. In the 3 months Maya had worked here, she had never seen anyone play it. "I will pay you $100 to play us a song," Marcus announced. He pulled out his wallet and held up a crisp $100 bill for everyone to see. "One song, any song. Easy money, right?" His friends were laughing and clapping now. One of the women said, "Oh, Marcus, you are terrible." But she was smiling as she said it. Maya felt sick. She knew what Marcus was doing. He thought she could not really play. He thought she would sit down at that piano and embarrass herself, and he and his rich friends would laugh at her. It was a game to him, a joke to entertain his guests. Maya should have walked away. She should have gone to get their drinks and ignored him. But she looked at that $100 bill and she thought about David at home, thought about the medicine he needed, thought about the rent that was due next week. $100 would buy food for a week. It would pay for David's prescription refill. It was more than she made in tips on a good night. "I really need to work," Maya said, but her voice was weaker now. Marcus smiled. He could see her hesitating. "Come on," he said in a voice that pretended to be friendly but was really mocking. "One song, 3 minutes of your time. You could use the money, right? I mean, you are working here, so obviously you need money." More people were watching now. The whole restaurant had gone quiet. Maya could see other staff members standing by the kitchen door looking worried. The manager was nowhere to be seen, probably hiding in his office like he always did when Marcus caused trouble. Maya looked at the piano, then at Marcus, then at the $100 bill. She thought about her pride versus her brother's medicine. Pride did not keep the lights on. Pride did not fill empty stomachs or pay for doctor visits. "Fine," Maya said quietly. "One song." Marcus grinned like he had won something. "Excellent. Everyone, the waitress is going to give us a concert." He started clapping and his friends joined in. Some of the other diners clapped too, though they looked uncomfortable. Marcus pulled out his phone and held it up, ready to record Maya's humiliation. His friends did the same. They were all expecting her to fail, to prove that she was just a waitress pretending to be something more. Maya walked slowly across the dining room toward the piano. Her legs felt heavy and her hands were shaking. She could feel dozens of eyes on her back. The dining room was completely silent now, except for the soft sound of classical music playing through the speakers. Even that seemed to fade away as Maya reached the piano. She stood in front of it for a moment, looking down at the keys. It had been so long since she had played. After her mother got sick, Maya had to drop out of school and sell her own piano to pay for medical bills. She had not touched a piano in over a year. Her fingers felt stiff and cold. Maya pulled out the piano bench and sat down. She adjusted her position, placed her feet on the pedals, and lifted her hands over the keys. She could hear Marcus and his friends whispering and giggling behind her. She could imagine them pointing their phones at her, waiting for her to mess up. Maya closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She tried to block out the restaurant, the people, Marcus, and his cruelty. She thought about her mother, about the hospital room where she had spent her final days, about holding her hand as she took her last breath. She thought about the piece of music she had written during those dark days, a piece she had never shared with anyone, a piece that held all her pain and love and grief. Maya placed her fingers on the keys and began to play. The first note that came from the piano was not just sound. It was emotion made into music. It was pure and clear and heartbreaking. Maya's fingers moved across the keys with a skill and grace that came from years of training and natural talent. This was not a simple song. This was a complex, beautiful composition that mixed classical music with jazz and soul. It was the song Maya had written for her mother, every note holding a memory, every chord expressing something words could never say. The dining room was absolutely silent. Marcus's smile had frozen on his face. His phone was still held up, but he was not looking at it anymore. He was staring at Maya, his mouth slightly open, his eyes wide with shock. Around him, his friends had stopped laughing. One of the women had tears running down her cheeks. The men sat perfectly still, their champagne glasses forgotten in their hands. Maya played on, unaware of her audience now. She was lost in the music and the memories it carried. Her fingers danced across the keys, sometimes gentle and soft, sometimes powerful and commanding. The melody was haunting and beautiful and so sad that it made people's hearts ache. Kitchen staff had come out through the swinging doors, drawn by the sound. Waiters and busboys stood frozen with trays in their hands. Other diners had put down their forks and knives, completely absorbed in Maya's playing. For 7 minutes, Maya played without stopping. The music filled every corner of the restaurant, reaching into every heart in the room. It spoke of loss and love, of struggle and hope, of dreams deferred but not destroyed. When Maya finally played the last note, letting it fade slowly into silence, no one moved. No one breathed. The silence stretched out for several long seconds that felt like forever. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then the whole restaurant erupted in applause. People were standing up from their tables, clapping so hard their hands hurt. The kitchen staff was cheering. Even the stoic manager had come out of his office, clapping with tears in his eyes. Maya opened her eyes and lifted her hands from the keys. She felt dizzy, like she was waking up from a dream. She stood up quickly, her face flushed, suddenly aware of all the attention. She did not want praise or applause. She just wanted to get back to work, to disappear into the background where she belonged. As Maya turned to walk back to her station, she looked at Marcus. He was standing now, but he was not clapping like the others. He was just standing there with a strange expression on his face. The arrogance and cruelty were gone. He looked shocked, stunned, and something else that Maya could not quite name. Was it shame? His phone hung loosely in his hand, the $100 bill in his other hand, both seeming suddenly ridiculous and meaningless. Maya walked past his table without looking at him again. The applause was finally dying down and people were returning to their meals. Maya went straight to the kitchen, her heart pounding, her hands still shaking from the adrenaline. She leaned against the wall and took several deep breaths. That was amazing, one of the other waitresses whispered to her. Where did you learn to play like that? Maya did not answer. She straightened her uniform, picked up a tray of drinks that needed to be delivered, and went back out to the dining room. She had work to do, bills to pay, a brother to take care of. The music was over, but her life went on. Because that music changed something in me tonight, Marcus said. Because I am tired of being the person I have become. Because maybe helping you is the first step in becoming someone better. Maya was quiet for a long time. She looked down at her worn-out shoes, then back up at Marcus. He could see her thinking, weighing her pride against her brother's needs, her independence against the opportunity being offered. I need to think about it, Maya finally said. This is a lot to process. A few hours ago, you were humiliating me for fun. Now you want to change my life. It is too much, too fast. I understand, Marcus said. He pulled out his wallet and took out a business card. Here is my personal number. Call me when you have thought about it. Take all the time you need. But Maya, please think about your brother. Think about going back to school. Think about your music. Do not let pride stop you from accepting help. Maya took the card reluctantly. She looked at it for a moment, then put it in her pocket. I should go, she said. I have to get home to check on David. That is my brother. He is alone and he gets scared at night sometimes. Let me give you a ride, Marcus offered. It is late. No, Maya said quickly. I take the bus. It is fine. Please, Marcus said. It is the least I can do. My driver is waiting. He can take you home and then take me home. It is no trouble. Maya hesitated, then sighed. Fine. But just because I am too tired to argue and the bus does not come for another 30 minutes. Marcus led her around to the front of the restaurant where his black luxury car was waiting. The driver opened the door, and Maya got in carefully like she was afraid she might break something. Marcus got in on the other side. The car was silent except for the soft hum of the engine. Where do you live? Marcus asked. Maya gave the driver an address in a part of the city that Marcus rarely went to. It was not a dangerous neighborhood, but it was poor. Old apartment buildings with cracked walls and broken windows. streets that needed repair, the kind of place where people worked hard just to survive. They rode in silence. Maya looked out the window, and Marcus looked at her. In the dim light of the passing streetlights, he could see how young she still was, how the lines on her face came from stress and exhaustion, not age. She should have been finishing her degree, starting her career, living her dreams. Instead, she was working herself to death for her brother. When they arrived at Maya's building, she opened the door quickly. "Thank you for the ride," she said without looking at Marcus. "Maya, wait," Marcus said. She paused. "I meant what I said. Call me. Let me help." Maya looked at him one last time. "Why do you care so much?" she asked. Marcus thought about the question. He thought about his empty penthouse apartment, his meaningless relationships, his hollow achievements. He thought about the music that had moved him to tears, about the sacrifice and love that had created it. "Because you reminded me that there is more to life than money and power," Marcus said honestly. "You reminded me what it means to be human, and I do not want to forget that again." Maya nodded slowly, then got out of the car and walked toward her building. Marcus watched her until she disappeared inside. Then he told his driver to take him home, but he did not go straight to his penthouse. Instead, he asked the driver to just drive around the city for a while. He needed to think. He needed to figure out who he really was and who he wanted to become. That night, Marcus could not sleep. He lay in his enormous bed in his enormous apartment and thought about Maya playing that piano. He thought about her calloused fingers moving across the keys, creating something beautiful out of pain. He thought about the life she had sacrificed and the dreams she had given up. And he thought about the person he had been for so many years, cruel and arrogant and empty. By morning, Marcus had made a decision. He was going to change, and he was going to help Maya whether she wanted it or not. Not because it would make him feel better about himself, but because it was the right thing to do, maybe the first right thing he had done in a very long time. Marcus Rothwell could not move. He stood frozen by his table while the restaurant slowly returned to normal around him. His friends were talking and laughing again, making jokes about how unexpected that was, but their voices sounded far away to Marcus. All he could hear was the echo of that music in his head. All he could see was Maya's back as she disappeared into the kitchen. "Marcus, sit down," one of his friends said, pulling on his arm. "The show is over." "That was wild, though. Who knew the waitress could actually play?" Marcus sat down slowly. He looked at the $100 bill still in his hand. It suddenly felt dirty, like something shameful. He had meant it as a joke, as a way to embarrass a waitress and entertain his friends. He had expected her to stumble through a simple song, maybe Chopsticks or Happy Birthday, something that would make everyone laugh at her. He had never expected that. Where did she learn to play like that? Marcus asked, more to himself than to his friends. One of the women at the table shrugged. Maybe she took lessons as a kid or something. Who cares? Can we order now? I am starving. But Marcus did care. Suddenly he cared very much. That was not the playing of someone who took lessons as a kid. That was the playing of a master. Someone with years of serious training and natural talent. That music had been complex, sophisticated, emotional. It had moved him in a way nothing had moved him in years. And he had tried to use it to humiliate her. The rest of the dinner passed in a blur for Marcus. He barely tasted his food. He drank his champagne without noticing it. His friends talked and laughed around him, but he was not really there. He kept watching Maya as she worked, moving between tables, carrying trays, smiling politely at customers. She never looked in his direction. She did not come back to their table. Another waiter brought their food and refilled their drinks. When it was time to pay, Marcus left a tip that was larger than the entire bill. He put $500 bills on the table along with the original 100 he had offered Maya. But he did not feel better about it. Money could not fix what he had done. Money could not erase the memory of holding up his phone to record her failure, of making her play for his entertainment like she was some kind of performing animal. Marcus's friends finally left, still laughing and talking about business deals and golf tournaments. Marcus told them he would catch up with them later. He needed to do something first. He waited by the entrance of the restaurant, partially hidden behind a large plant, watching the staff move around the dining room. It was almost 11 now and the restaurant was closing. Waiters were cleaning tables and counting their tips. Maya was at the far end of the room, rolling silverware into napkins for the next day. Marcus waited until she finished her work and headed toward the back of the restaurant where the staff exit was. He followed her, feeling strange about it, like he was doing something wrong. But he needed to talk to her. He needed to understand. "Excuse me," Marcus called out as Maya pushed open the heavy metal door leading to the back alley. "Wait, please." Maya stopped and turned around. When she saw it was Marcus, her face went cold. She did not say anything, just looked at him with tired eyes that held no expression. "I wanted to apologize," Marcus said. The words felt awkward in his mouth. He could not remember the last time he had genuinely apologized to anyone. "What I did tonight was cruel and wrong. I am sorry." Maya stared at him for a long moment. "Is that all?" she asked, her voice flat. "No," Marcus said. "I want to know where you learned to play like that. That was not just good. That was extraordinary." Maya shifted the backpack on her shoulder. She looked like she wanted to leave, like she did not want to have this conversation. But something in Marcus's face must have seemed genuine because she finally answered. "I went to Juilliard," Maya said. "In New York, I had a full scholarship." Marcus felt his eyes widen. Juilliard was one of the best music schools in the world. Getting in was incredibly difficult. Getting a full scholarship was almost impossible. "You went to Juilliard," he repeated, unable to hide his shock. "Yes," Maya said. "For 3 years. I was in my final year when my mother got sick. She had cancer. I had to drop out to take care of her. Someone had to be with her, to take her to treatments, to pay the medical bills. After she died, I had to take care of my younger brother. He is sick too. Different illness, but expensive treatment. So now I work. I work 3 jobs to pay for his medicine and our rent and everything else. That is my life now." She said it all in a matter-of-fact voice, like she was reading from a grocery list. But Marcus could hear the pain underneath the words, the grief and loss and exhaustion. He felt something twist in his chest, something uncomfortable and unfamiliar. Was it guilt, shame? He was not sure. He had spent so many years surrounded by wealth and privilege that he had forgotten what real struggle looked like. 3 jobs? Marcus asked. "Yes. Coffee shop in the morning, here at night, and I clean offices on weekends. My brother is only 16. He cannot work. He can barely go to school most days. So I do what I have to do." Marcus did not know what to say. His problems were things like which vacation home to visit or which sports car to buy. He complained when his private jet was delayed or when his chef made his steak wrong. He had never worried about rent or medicine or keeping the lights on. He had been born into money, made more money, and lived in a bubble where real problems did not exist. "The song you played," Marcus said. "What was it called?" "It does not have a name," Maya said. "I wrote it for my mother while she was dying. I played it for her in the hospital during her last days. It was the only thing that seemed to calm her down, that seemed to help with the pain. I have never played it for anyone else until tonight." Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. She had played her most personal, painful piece of music because he had mocked her, because he had waved money in her face when she was desperate. He had turned something sacred into a joke. "I am so sorry," Marcus said again, and this time his voice cracked slightly. "I did not know. I do not know what I thought. I was being cruel for entertainment. There is no excuse for it." Maya looked at him for a long moment. Her expression softened slightly, just a little, like ice beginning to melt. "People like you never think about people like me," she said quietly. "We are invisible to you. We bring your food and clean your offices and serve your drinks, but you do not see us as real people with real lives and real problems. You just see servants." "You are right," Marcus admitted. It was hard to say, hard to admit, but it was true. "I have been that person. I have treated people badly because I could, because no one would stop me. But that music you played, it made me feel something I have not felt in a long time. It made me see something I have been avoiding seeing." "What is that?" Maya asked. "That I am not a good person," Marcus said. "I have money and power and success, but I am empty inside. I fill my life with expensive things and meaningless relationships, and I treat people like they are beneath me. But you have nothing material, but you have something real. You have talent and love and purpose. You sacrificed everything for your family. I would not do that for anyone. I do not think I love anyone enough to do that." Maya looked surprised by his honesty. She studied his face, searching for something. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Because I want to make it right," Marcus said. "Not because I feel guilty, although I do, but because someone like you should not be working 3 jobs just to survive. Someone with your talent should be playing in concert halls, not carrying traps at restaurants." "That is a nice thought," Maya said with a sad smile. "But life does not work that way. Talent does not pay bills. Dreams do not cure sick family members. I live in the real world, not in a fantasy where everything works out because I'm good at playing piano." "What if I could help?" Marcus asked. "What if I could pay for your brother's treatment? What if I could help you go back to Juilliard and finish your degree?" Maya's expression hardened again. "I do not want your charity," she said firmly. "I do not need you to feel sorry for me and throw money at me so you can feel better about yourself. I have my pride." "This is not charity," Marcus insisted. "This is me trying to fix something I broke. This is me recognizing that the world is unfair, and I have the power to make it a little less unfair for one person." "And what do you want in return?" Maya asked suspiciously. "Nothing is free. Rich people do not give money without wanting something back." "I do not want anything," Marcus said. "I know you do not believe me. I do not blame you. But I am serious. Let me help your brother. Let me give you a chance to go back to school. You can pay me back later if it makes you feel better, or do not. I do not care about the money." Maya shook her head. "I do not even know you. Why would you do this?" Marcus smiled, and it was a real smile, not the fake charming smile he had worn at the restaurant. "Good, I will set it up for this week. And Maya, I want you to know something. I do not expect you to be grateful. I do not expect you to thank me or think I am some kind of hero. I am just a man trying to do one good thing after a lifetime of being selfish. You would be helping me as much as I am helping you." Over the next week, things moved quickly. Marcus arranged for David to see Dr. Harrison, one of the best specialists in the country. The doctor's office was in a fancy medical building that Maya had never been to before. Everything was clean and new and expensive looking. The nurses were kind, and Dr. Harrison spent over an hour examining David and looking at his medical records. Maya sat in the waiting room while David was being examined, her leg bouncing nervously. Marcus sat next to her, quiet and calm. He had insisted on coming with them, and Maya was grateful for it even though she did not say so. Having someone there made her feel less alone. When Dr. Harrison finally called them into his office, Maya held David's hand tightly. The doctor's face was serious but not sad, which Maya took as a good sign. "David's condition is serious," Dr. Harrison said, "but it is treatable. The experimental program I mentioned to Mr. Rothwell has a 70% success rate. It involves 6 months of intensive treatment, including some hospital stays, but most of it can be done outpatient. The side effects are much less severe than what David is experiencing with his current medication." "And it could cure him?" Maya asked, afraid to hope. "Completely? There are no guarantees in medicine," Dr. Harrison said. "But yes, there is a very good chance that David could make a full recovery. He would need to be monitored for a few years afterward, but he could live a normal life. Go to school, play sports, all the things a 16-year-old should be able to do." Maya started crying. She could not help it. She had been so scared for so long, watching David get sicker, knowing she could not afford the treatment that might save him, and now someone was offering it to her, offering David a chance at a real life. David squeezed her hand. "Do not cry, Maya," he said softly. "This is good news." "I know," Maya said, wiping her tears. "I am just so relieved." Dr. Harrison looked at Marcus. "When would you like to start the treatment?" "As soon as possible," Marcus said. "What do we need to do?" "I can have my team start the paperwork today," Dr. Harrison said. "We could begin treatment next week if David is ready." Maya looked at Marcus. She had been resisting his help, holding on to her pride, but seeing David sitting there so thin and pale, hearing that he could actually get better, she realized that pride was not worth her brother's life. "Okay," Maya said quietly. "We will do it." "Thank you," Marcus nodded. "You do not need to thank me." "Yes, I do," Maya said. "You are giving my brother his life back. That is worth 1,000 thank yous." After they left the doctor's office, Marcus drove Maya and David back to their apartment. David was excited, talking about all the things he wanted to do when he felt better. He wanted to go back to school full-time, join the soccer team, maybe learn to play guitar. Maya listened and smiled, feeling hopeful for the first time in over a year. When they pulled up in front of their building, David got out first and went inside, eager to call his friend and tell him the good news. Maya stayed in the car for a moment looking at Marcus. "I have been thinking about your other offer," Maya said, "about going back to school." "And?" Marcus asked. "I want to do it," Maya said. "Not just for me, but for David too. He told me I should finish school when he gets better. He does not want me to give up my dreams because of him, and maybe he is right. Maybe I can help more people by finishing my education and playing music than I can by serving coffee and waiting tables." "I think you are making the right choice," Marcus said. "But I want to pay you back," Maya insisted. "All of it. The treatment, the school, everything. It might take me years, but I will pay you back every dollar." "If that makes you feel better, then okay," Marcus said. "But I do not care about the money, Maya. I care about seeing you and David get the chances you deserve." Maya looked at him carefully. "You really have changed, have not you? You are not the same person who made fun of me at the restaurant." "I am trying not to be," Marcus said. "That person was miserable even if he did not know it. That music you played woke me up. It made me realize I had been sleepwalking through my life, not really feeling anything, not really connecting with anyone. I do not want to be that person anymore." "Well," Maya said with a small smile, "maybe we are helping each other then. You are giving me and David a second chance, and we are giving you a reason to be better." "Maybe we are," Marcus agreed. Maya got out of the car and started to walk toward her building, then turned back. "Marcus," she called out. He rolled down the window. "Would you like to come up for dinner sometime? Nothing fancy, just spaghetti or something. I think David would like to get to know the person who is helping us." Marcus smiled, a real genuine smile that reached his eyes. "I would like that very much." As Maya walked into her building, she felt something she had not felt in a long time. She felt hope. Hope that David would get better. Hope that she could finish school and play music again. Hope that maybe, just maybe, good things could happen to people who deserved them. And she thought that maybe Marcus was right. Maybe they really were helping each other find their way. Maya did not sleep much that night either. She got home to find David sitting on the couch watching television with the volume turned low. He looked pale and tired, but he smiled when she came through the door. "How was work?" David asked, his voice weak. "Long," Maya said, dropping her backpack by the door and sitting down next to him. "How are you feeling?" "Did you take your medicine?" "Yes, I took it," David said. "But it makes me feel sick. I threw up earlier," Maya's heart hurt. The medicine was supposed to help, but sometimes it seemed like it just made David more miserable. She put her arm around his thin shoulders and pulled him close. He was so small for 16, skinny and fragile from being sick for so long. "Maybe we can talk to the doctor about adjusting the dose," Maya said, though she knew they could barely afford the medicine as it was. Any changes would mean more appointments, more tests, more money they did not have. They sat together in silence for a while, watching the television without really seeing it. Maya thought about Marcus and his offer. She had put his business card in her pocket and had not looked at it since. Part of her wanted to throw it away and forget the whole thing. She did not trust rich people, and she especially did not trust rich people who acted nice after being cruel. But another part of her, the part that was so tired of struggling, that was so scared of losing David like she lost her mother, that part was tempted Maya. David said quietly, "When I get better, you should go back to school. You should play piano again. You are too talented to waste your life taking care of me." "Do not talk like that," Maya said firmly. "You are not a waste of my time. You are my brother. You are all I have left. And you will get better." But even as she said it, Maya was not sure she believed it. The doctors had been honest with her. Without better treatment, David's condition would keep getting worse. The medicine he was on now was just keeping him stable, not curing him. There was a new experimental treatment that had shown promising results, but it cost $50,000 for a 6-month program. Maya would have to work for 5 years just to save that much, and David did not have 5 years. The next morning, Maya dragged herself out of bed at 5 and got ready for her shift at the coffee shop. She left David sleeping and took the bus across town as the sun was just starting to rise. The coffee shop was busy, full of people getting their morning drinks before work. Maya made lattes and cappuccinos and smiled at customers who barely looked at her. Her mind was somewhere else. During her lunch break, Maya sat in the back room and pulled out Marcus's business card. It was simple and elegant, just his name and a phone number. No company name, no title. She stared at it for a long time, turning it over in her fingers. What did she have to lose? She could at least hear what he had to say. That did not mean she had to accept help. She could just listen. Before she could change her mind, Maya pulled out her phone and dialed the number. It rang 3 times before Marcus answered. "Hello? This is Maya," she said. "The waitress from the Meridian Club." "Maya," Marcus said, and she could hear the surprise in his voice. "I'm glad you called. I was hoping you would." "I have not decided anything," Maya said quickly. "But I thought maybe we could talk. You said you wanted to help my brother. I want to know exactly what you mean by that." "Of course," Marcus said. "Can we meet somewhere? Maybe for coffee? I can come to wherever is convenient for you." They agreed to meet that afternoon at a small diner near Maya's apartment. It was not fancy, just a local place with worn-out booths and coffee that came in thick white mugs. Maya had a few hours between her morning shift and her evening shift at the Meridian Club, so she went home to check on David first. He was sitting at the kitchen table trying to do his homework but looking exhausted from the effort. "I have to go out for a little while," Maya told him. "I am meeting someone." "Will you be okay?" "I am fine," David said. "Stop worrying so much." "Who are you meeting?" "Just someone," Maya said vaguely. She did not want to tell David about Marcus yet. She did not want to give him false hope if this turned out to be nothing. Maya walked to the diner and arrived a few minutes early. She ordered a coffee and sat in a booth by the window, watching for Marcus. She almost did not recognize him when he arrived. He was not wearing an expensive suit. Instead, he had on jeans and a simple shirt, and he looked more normal, more human. He saw her and walked over, sliding into the booth across from her. "Thank you for meeting me," Marcus said. "I know you do not trust me. I do not blame you. Just tell me what you are offering," Maya said. She wanted to get straight to the point. She did not have time for small talk. Marcus leaned forward, his hands folded on the table. "I spent all weekend looking into your brother's condition. I hope you do not mind. I have a friend who is a doctor, and I asked him about treatment options. He told me about an experimental program that has been very successful. It is expensive, but it could actually cure your brother, not just keep him stable." "I know about that treatment," Maya said. "It costs $50,000. I could never afford it. I can afford it," Marcus said simply. "I want to pay for David's treatment, all of it. The medicine, the doctor visits, the hospital stays, everything. I want to make sure he gets better." Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she blinked them back. "Why would you do that?" she asked, her voice shaking slightly. "You do not even know us." "I told you the other night," Marcus said. "I want to be a better person. And maybe I cannot fix everything wrong with the world, but I can fix this. I can help one person. I can help you and David. And what do you want in return?" Maya asked again. She still could not believe someone would just give away that much money without wanting something. "I want you to let me help you too," Marcus said. "I want to pay for you to go back to Juilliard and finish your degree. I want you to be able to focus on your music instead of working 3 jobs. I want you to have the life you were supposed to have before everything fell apart." Maya shook her head. "That is too much. I cannot accept that much from a stranger." "Then do not think of it as accepting a gift," Marcus said. "Think of it as accepting an opportunity. You have talent that the world needs to hear. Keeping you working as a waitress when you should be performing is a waste. Not just a waste of your talent, but a waste for everyone who will never get to hear your music." "I do not know," Maya said. She felt overwhelmed, like she was drowning in possibilities and fears all at once. Marcus reached across the table and put his hand over hers gently. "I know this is scary. I know you have been independent and strong and you have done everything yourself. But sometimes it is okay to accept help. Sometimes it is okay to let someone else carry some of the weight." Maya looked down at their hands. Marcus's hand was soft and uncalloused, the hand of someone who had never done hard physical work. Her hands were rough and scarred from years of working. They were different people from different worlds. But maybe that was okay. Maybe different people could help each other. "Can I think about it for a few more days?" Maya asked. "This is a big decision." "Take all the time you need," Marcus said. "But while you are thinking, let me do something. Let me set up an appointment with the doctor for David, just a consultation. It is free. He can examine David and tell you exactly what the treatment would involve and what the chances of success are. Then you can make an informed decision. That seemed reasonable. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, we can do that. Marcus made a mental note to call his parents the next day. Maybe he could visit them next month, take some time away from work, and actually spend time with them. Maybe it was not too late to rebuild those relationships. Over the next few months, Marcus and Maya worked together to create the foundation. They called it the Meridian Foundation, named after the restaurant where their lives had changed. Maya helped design the scholarship programs, making sure they covered not just tuition but also living expenses, instruments, and other costs that poor families could not afford. Marcus handled the business side, setting up the legal structure and reaching out to his wealthy contacts for donations. The foundation grew quickly. Within 6 months, they had helped 20 young musicians attend top music schools. They had provided instruments to kids who could not afford them. They had given hope to families who thought their children's talents would go to waste. Marcus also started spending more time with his own family. He visited his parents every month, helped his sister with her small business, and tried to be present in their lives instead of just sending money on birthdays. It was awkward at first because they had been distant for so long, but slowly, the relationships began to heal. David completed his treatment successfully. Dr. Harrison declared him to be in full remission, meaning the disease was gone. David still needed regular checkups, but he was healthy and strong and full of energy. He joined the soccer team at school, made new friends, and stopped being the sick kid that everyone felt sorry for. He was just David again, a normal teenager with a normal life. Maya was thriving at Juilliard. She had started performing in small concerts, and people were noticing her talent. A recording company had reached out about making an album. Her professors said she had a bright future as a concert pianist. But Maya was also passionate about teaching. She spent her free time working with the kids in the Meridian Foundation, showing them that someone who looked like them and came from where they came from could succeed in classical music. One evening, Marcus took Maya to the Meridian Club for dinner. It was the first time either of them had been back since that fateful night. The restaurant looked the same with its crystal chandeliers and white tablecloths. But everything felt different now. They sat at a table near the piano, the same piano where Maya had played. The manager recognized them and came over to say hello. He was apologetic, saying he should have stopped Marcus from humiliating Maya that night. Marcus assured him it was okay, that it had actually worked out for the best. After dinner, the manager asked Maya if she would play something. Not as a joke or for entertainment, but because he had heard about her return to Juilliard and wanted to honor her talent. Maya agreed. She walked to the piano and the restaurant grew quiet. People recognized her from the story that had spread through the city about the waitress who became a concert pianist. Maya sat down at the bench and placed her hands on the keys. This time she did not play the sad song she had written for her mother. Instead, she played something new, something full of hope and joy and gratitude. It was a piece about second chances, about forgiveness, about two broken people who had helped each other heal. She had written it specifically for this moment, for this place where her life had changed. When she finished, the restaurant erupted in applause. But Maya was not looking at the crowd. She was looking at Marcus, who was standing by their table with tears running down his face. He was not crying because he was sad. He was crying because he was happy, truly happy for the first time in his life. After the applause died down, Maya walked back to their table. Marcus hugged her tightly. "That was beautiful," he said. "What is it called?" "The Meridian Song," Maya said with a smile. "I wrote it for us, for this place, for everything that has happened." "It is perfect," Marcus said. As they left the restaurant that night, walking out into the cool evening air, Marcus realized something important. He had spent his whole life chasing success and wealth, thinking that would make him happy. But happiness had come from something completely different. It had come from helping others, from real friendships, from being a better person. Maya had not just changed his life. She had saved it, and Maya realized something too. She had spent so long being angry at people like Marcus, at the wealthy and privileged, who seemed to have everything while she struggled. But Marcus had shown her that money did not make someone happy or fulfilled. He had been just as lost and broken as she was, just in a different way. They had needed each other, and together they had built something beautiful. 3 months later, Maya's life looked completely different. David had started his treatment and was already showing improvement. His color was better. He had gained weight, and he could go to school most days without feeling exhausted. The doctors were pleased with his progress and said the treatment was working even better than they had hoped. Maya had enrolled back at Juilliard for the spring semester. Walking through those familiar halls again felt like coming home after a long journey. Her professors remembered her and welcomed her back with open arms. They had been sad when she left and were thrilled to see her return. Maya threw herself into her studies, practicing for hours every day, making up for the time she had lost. But something unexpected had happened too. Marcus had become a real friend. He came to dinner at Maya's apartment every week, always bringing groceries and usually ending up helping David with his homework or playing video games with him. David adored Marcus, and Maya found herself looking forward to those evenings more than she wanted to admit. Marcus had changed in other ways too. He had started volunteering at a community center in Maya's neighborhood, teaching kids about business and technology. He spent less time at expensive restaurants and more time doing things that actually mattered. His old friends barely saw him anymore, and Marcus did not miss them. He had realized that those friendships had been hollow, based on money and status rather than real connection. One evening, after dinner at Maya's apartment, David went to bed early because he was tired from treatment. Maya and Marcus sat on the couch drinking coffee and talking. They did this often now, staying up late discussing music, life, dreams, and regrets. "You know," Maya said, "I have been thinking about something." "What is that?" Marcus asked. "You have done so much for David and me. You paid for his treatment, you paid for my school, you changed your whole life around. But I wonder if you are doing it for the right reasons." Marcus looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, are you doing this because you genuinely want to help people, or are you doing it because you feel guilty about who you used to be?" Maya asked gently. "Because if it is just guilt, that is not sustainable. Eventually the guilt will fade, and then what?" Marcus was quiet for a long time, thinking about her question. Maya waited patiently. She had learned that Marcus needed time to process his thoughts before speaking. "I think it started as guilt," Marcus finally admitted. "When I heard you play that night, I felt ashamed of myself for the first time in years. And yes, I wanted to make up for it. But somewhere along the way, it became more than that, helping you and David, volunteering at the community center, actually connecting with people instead of just using them. It has made me happier than I have ever been. I do not feel empty anymore. I feel like my life has purpose." "Good," Maya said with a smile, "because I was going to tell you that you need to keep doing this work even after David is cured and I graduate. You are good at helping people, Marcus. You should not stop." "I do not plan to," Marcus said. "Actually, I have been thinking about starting a foundation. Something that helps young people from low-income families who have talent in music or art, or other areas, but cannot afford the education they need. I want to help more people like you." Maya's eyes lit up. "That is a wonderful idea. You could change so many lives." "I want you to help me with it," Marcus said. "You understand what these kids go through in a way I never will. You know what kind of help they actually need, not just what wealthy people think they need. Will you work with me on this?" "I would love to," Maya said. "But only if you do one more thing for me." "What is that?" "You need to make peace with who you were," Maya said seriously. "I have watched you these past few months, and I can see that you are still punishing yourself for the person you used to be. You are doing all this good work, but part of you still feels like you do not deserve to be happy. You need to forgive yourself, Marcus. You cannot move forward if you are stuck in the past." Marcus felt his throat tighten. Maya had a way of seeing right through him, of understanding things he barely understood about himself. She was right. He had been carrying around his guilt and shame like a heavy weight, using it to motivate himself but also letting it poison his happiness. "How do I do that?" Marcus asked quietly. "How do I forgive myself for all the years I spent being cruel and selfish?" "You accept that you cannot change the past," Maya said. "You acknowledge that you hurt people and you commit to not being that person anymore. And then you let it go. Holding on to it does not help anyone. The people you hurt in the past do not benefit from you being miserable now. The only thing that matters is who you are today and who you will be tomorrow." Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes. When was the last time he had cried? He could not remember. He had spent so many years building walls around his emotions, pretending he did not care about anything, that he had forgotten how to feel. "Thank you," he said to Maya, "for being honest with me, for pushing me to be better. I do not think I would have changed if I had not met you." "Yes, you would have," Maya said confidently. "Maybe it would have happened differently, but I think you were ready to change. You were tired of being unhappy even if you did not realize it. I just happened to be there at the right moment. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, sipping their coffee. Outside, the city lights twinkled through the window. It was a peaceful moment, the kind Marcus had never experienced in his old life when he was always rushing to the next party or business deal. "Maya," Marcus said eventually, "can I ask you something personal?" "Sure," Maya said. "Do you ever regret it? Dropping out of school to take care of your mother? Giving up your dreams for your family?" Maya thought about it carefully. "Sometimes," she admitted, "when I'm tired or frustrated, I wonder what my life would have been like if I had finished school on time, if I had started my career when I was supposed to. But then I think about those final months with my mother, how I was there to hold her hand, to play music for her, to tell her I loved her. I think about David and how he needs me, and I realize that I do not regret it. Family is more important than career. Love is more important than success. I will have time for my dreams, but I only had one chance to be there for my mother when she was dying." "I made the right choice." Marcus felt humbled by her answer. He thought about his own family, parents he barely spoke to, a sister he had not seen in years. He had been so focused on building his empire that he had forgotten about the people who actually mattered. When was the last time he had told his mother he loved her? When was the last time he had asked his father how he was doing? "You are making me realize how much I have neglected my own family," Marcus said. "I should call my parents. I should visit my sister. I have been so caught up in my own world that I forgot about them." "It is not too late," Maya said. "Family is patient. They will forgive you if you make an effort now." 5 years had passed since that night at the Meridian Club. The world looked very different now, not just for Maya and Marcus, but for hundreds of young people whose lives had been touched by the Meridian Foundation. Maya stood backstage at Carnegie Hall in New York City, one of the most famous concert halls in the world. She was wearing a beautiful black dress, her hair pulled back elegantly, her calloused fingers ready to play. Tonight was her debut solo concert, a moment she had dreamed about since she was a little girl. The concert hall was sold out, filled with music lovers, critics, and supporters of the foundation. But Maya was not nervous about the performance. She had played in front of audiences many times now. She was nervous because tonight was special for another reason. Tonight was the 5th anniversary of the Meridian Foundation, and half of the proceeds from the concert would go to help even more young musicians. There was a knock on her dressing room door. "Come in," Maya called. Marcus entered, looking handsome in a tuxedo. He smiled when he saw her. "You look beautiful," he said. "Thank you," Maya said. "Are they all here?" "Everyone," Marcus confirmed. "David is in the front row with your aunt. The first 20 scholarship recipients are scattered throughout the audience. Dr. Harrison is here. Even some of my old friends showed up, the ones who have actually become decent people. And the mayor is here too. She wants to talk to us after the concert about expanding the foundation." Maya felt a wave of emotion wash over her. 5 years ago, she had been working 3 jobs, barely able to pay rent, watching her brother slowly die. Now she was about to perform at Carnegie Hall. Her brother was healthy and in college studying medicine, and she had helped create something that was changing lives. "Are you ready?" Marcus asked. "I am ready," Maya said. They walked together toward the stage. As they reached the wings, Marcus stopped and turned to Maya. "I want to tell you something before you go out there," he said. "What is it?" "I am proud of you," Marcus said simply. "Not just because you are an amazing pianist or because you helped build the foundation. I am proud of you because you never gave up. You could have been bitter and angry about everything life threw at you. You could have hated people like me forever, but you chose kindness. You chose to help others even when you were struggling yourself. You are the best person I know, Maya Jenkins." Maya felt tears forming in her eyes, but she blinked them back. She could not ruin her makeup before the performance. "You are going to make me cry," she said with a laugh. "Sorry," Marcus said, smiling. "Go out there and show them what real talent looks like." Maya walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. She bowed to the audience, then sat at the grand piano in the center of the stage. The lights were bright, but she could see faces in the audience. She saw David grinning at her from the front row. She saw the young musicians from the foundation, kids who reminded her of herself at that age, full of dreams and talent, but needing someone to believe in them. She saw Marcus standing in the wings, watching her with pride. Maya began to play. She started with classical pieces by Chopin and Rachmaninoff, showing her technical skill and mastery. The audience was silent, completely absorbed in the music. Critics who had come to judge were moved to tears. Even people who did not usually like classical music found themselves transported by Maya's playing. Then for the second half of the concert, Maya played her own compositions. She played the piece she had written for her mother, the one that had started everything. She played the Meridian song, the piece about second chances, and finally she played something new, something she had just finished writing last month. It was called The Foundation, and it was about building something meaningful, about taking pain and turning it into purpose, about how broken people could heal each other. When the final note faded, the audience stood as one, applauding and cheering. It was the kind of ovation that every musician dreams of, the kind that says you have not just entertained people, but touched their souls. Maya stood and bowed, tears now flowing freely down her face. This was what she had sacrificed everything for. This was why she had worked so hard and never given up. After the concert, there was a reception at the hall. People lined up to congratulate Maya and to talk about the foundation. The mayor approached Maya and Marcus with a proposal to expand the foundation to other cities. A wealthy businessman offered to match all donations to the foundation for the next year. Teachers from music schools asked how they could nominate students for scholarships. But the best moment came when a young girl, maybe 12 years old, approached Maya shyly. She was holding a violin case and looked nervous. "Excuse me, Ms. Jenkins," the girl said quietly. "I just wanted to thank you. I got a scholarship from the Meridian Foundation last year. My family could not afford violin lessons, and I thought I would never get to study music seriously. But because of you, I got to go to a summer program, and now I have a teacher who is helping me. You changed my life." Maya knelt down so she was at the girl's eye level. "What is your name?" she asked. "Sophia," the girl said. "Sophia, you are very welcome. But you need to remember something. I did not change your life, you did. You had the talent and the dedication. I just helped remove some barriers. Keep working hard, and one day you will be standing on a stage like this." "I hope so," Sophia said, her eyes shining with hope. "I know so," Maya said firmly. After Sophia walked away, Marcus came over and put his arm around Maya. "That is what it is all about," he said. "That look in her eyes, that hope, that is what we are building." "Yes," Maya agreed, "and we are just getting started." David joined them, looking healthy and strong. He was 21 now, in his third year of medical school. He was studying to become a pediatric oncologist because he wanted to help sick kids the way doctors had helped him. "You were amazing, Maya," David said, hugging his sister. "Mom would have been so proud." "She would have been proud of you too," Maya said. "Look at you going to be a doctor, saving lives." "We both ended up doing what we were meant to do," David said. "I just had to get sick first to figure it out." "Do not say that," Maya said, but she understood what he meant. Sometimes the hardest experiences in life led to the most important discoveries about who you were meant to be. The three of them stood together, watching the crowd of people mingling and talking about music and dreams and possibilities. Marcus thought about the person he used to be, the cruel, arrogant billionaire who had treated people like they were beneath him. That person seemed like a stranger now. He had been so empty, so unhappy without even realizing it. Now his life was full of meaning and connection and purpose. Maya thought about that night 5 years ago when she had been forced to play piano as a joke. At the time, it had felt like the most humiliating moment of her life, but it had actually been the beginning of everything good that had happened since. Sometimes the worst moments led to the best changes. David thought about how lucky he was to be alive, to be healthy, to have a future. He thought about all the kids out there who were sick like he had been, who needed help but could not afford it. He was going to spend his life helping them, giving them the second chance he had received. Later that night, after the reception ended and everyone had gone home, Marcus and Maya found themselves walking through the streets of New York City. It was late, but the city was still alive with lights and sounds and energy. "Do you remember what you said to me that first night?" Marcus asked. "When I gave you a ride home?" "I said a lot of things," Maya said with a smile. "Which part?" "You said that people like me never think about people like you. That we see servants, not real people." "You were right. But you changed that for me. You made me see what I was missing. And you gave me back my music," Maya said. "You gave David his health. You gave hundreds of kids their dreams. I would say we are even. I would say I still owe you," Marcus said. I will spend the rest of my life trying to be the person you believed I could be." They walked in silence for a while, comfortable with each other in the way that only true friends can be. They had been through so much together, had helped each other through the darkest times, had built something beautiful out of pain. "Marcus," Maya said eventually, "I have been thinking about something." "What is that?" "The foundation is doing well. We have helped a lot of people, but I think we could do more. I think we should expand beyond just music. What about kids who have talent in art or writing or science but cannot afford to develop those talents? What about kids who are sick like David was? What if we created programs to help them too?" Marcus's eyes lit up. "That is a wonderful idea. We could create different branches of the foundation, each focused on a different area. We could help thousands of kids instead of hundreds." "It would take a lot of work," Maya said, "and a lot of money." "I have money," Marcus said, "and you have vision and passion. Together we can do anything." They stopped walking and turned to face each other. In the glow of the streetlights, they looked at each other with deep understanding and respect. They were partners in the truest sense, two people who had saved each other and were now saving others. "Thank you," Maya said softly, "for everything. For changing. For caring. For being my friend." "Thank you," Marcus said, "for seeing something good in me when I could not see it myself. For giving me a purpose. For being the sister I never had." They hugged, a long embrace between two people who had found family in each other. When they pulled apart, they were both smiling. The Meridian Foundation continued to grow over the years. It expanded to 12 cities across the country, helping hundreds of young people every year. Some went on to become famous musicians, artists, and scientists. Others became teachers, doctors, and social workers. But all of them remembered where they came from and worked to help others the way they had been helped. David became a pediatric oncologist and started his own program to help families afford cancer treatment. He never forgot what it felt like to be sick and scared, and he dedicated his life to making sure other kids did not have to go through that alone. Marcus continued to run the foundation, but he also started mentoring other wealthy people, encouraging them to use their money and influence to make a real difference. He became known as one of the most generous philanthropists in the country, but he always said the same thing when people praised him: "I am just trying to make up for lost time." Maya became one of the most celebrated pianists of her generation. She performed at concert halls around the world, recorded several albums, and won prestigious awards. But she never forgot her roots. She continued to teach at the foundation, to mentor young musicians, and to play at charity events. She used her fame to shine a light on the struggles of working families and the importance of arts education. The piano at the Meridian Club was eventually moved to the foundation's headquarters. It sat in the main lobby under a glass case with a plaque that told the story of that night 5 years ago. It became a symbol of transformation, of how one moment could change everything, of how cruelty could be transformed into kindness, how pain could become purpose. Young musicians who visited the foundation would stand in front of that piano and read the story. They would learn about Maya, the waitress who became a concert pianist. They would learn about Marcus, the billionaire who learned to care. And they would understand that change was possible, that dreams could come true, that one person could make a difference. On the 5th anniversary of that fateful night, the foundation held a special concert. It was not at Carnegie Hall or any fancy venue. It was held in a community center in Maya's old neighborhood, the same neighborhood where she had grown up poor and struggled to survive. Current and former scholarship recipients performed, showing the community what was possible with talent and opportunity. Maya closed the concert with a performance, playing the piece she had written for her mother all those years ago. As she played, she looked out at the audience. She saw faces of all colors and backgrounds, rich and poor, young and old, all brought together by music. She saw David in the front row, healthy and happy. She saw Marcus standing in the back, his eyes shining with tears of joy. And Maya understood something profound. That night at the Meridian Club, when she had been humiliated and forced to play for entertainment, she had played the most important notes of her life. Not because the music was particularly beautiful, though it was, not because it launched her career, though it did, but because it had created a connection between two broken people who had needed each other without knowing it. Sometimes, Maya thought, the worst moments in life were actually the beginning of the best things. Sometimes being forced to play when you did not want to led to discovering your true purpose. Sometimes one act of cruelty could spark a lifetime of kindness. As the final note faded and the audience erupted in applause, Maya stood and bowed. But she was not bowing to the audience. She was bowing to life itself, to the mysterious way that pain could become beauty, that struggle could become strength, that two strangers could become family. The story of the billionaire and the waitress became legend in the city. People told it to their children as a lesson about not judging others, about the power of second chances, about how anyone could change if they chose to. The Meridian Foundation became a symbol of hope, proof that one person's decision to be better could ripple out and touch hundreds of lives. And every year, on the anniversary of that night, Maya and Marcus would return to the Meridian Club. They would sit at the same table where Marcus had once sat with his cruel friends. They would order dinner and talk about the foundation, about the kids they had helped, about their dreams for the future. And before they left, Maya would play that piano one more time, playing not for entertainment or money or fame, but for love and gratitude and hope. Because 5 years ago, on a night that had started with humiliation and cruelty, two lives had changed forever, and in changing they had changed the world, one note at a time.